Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my channel, I would like to say welcome and introduce myself by telling you I am on YouTube living out my passion, which is to help you remember who and why you are through effective meditating. This video is a second video as part of my self-publishing author series. And in the previous video, if you have watched it, you will recall I was comparing the print qualities of my author's proof that I ordered from KDP and IngramSpark. And in the video, I had an interesting reaction to the prints that I received from KDP. And the reason being, what I received wasn't what I was expecting. However, I reached out to KDP and we worked out the issues that caused me to end up with two glossy prints instead of one glossy and one matte print. And KDP was very amazing to work with. They actually refunded me all the costs that I paid for to have the books printed and shipped to me. And right after that video, I went ahead and placed another order for a matte covered finish. And I received the cover. And this is it right here. So this is the latest cover and the latest book print that I received from KDP, which I must say is amazing. One of the biggest concerns I had was the background. And if you can see here, the background actually shows up the way it should. That geometric shape that I wanted to definitely be part of the cover now shows up. Another issue I had with the prints was the interior, but this one is perfect. The headers, if you can see there, show up perfectly, and the print lines up really nice on the page. It also looks amazing, and it includes less typos, I'm gonna say that, right? And so working with Amazon has been a very good experience. And I want to say that to add to this. When you order the book, initially you're only gonna be able to get it from Amazon. And if you aren't aware, you know that Amazon will ship books directly to consumers like you. Now with IngramSpark, what you need to understand, if you don't already, is that IngramSpark does not ship directly to consumers. What they will do is ship to retailers like Borders or bookstores on campus, on college campuses, or even Barnes & Noble. And then from there, you as a consumer can now go into Barnes & Noble and buy the book. And so I am very happy with the book quality that I received from KDP. And I am also happy with the fact that once the book is released next month, you will be able to order it directly from Amazon and get an amazing book in your hand, right? It's nice, it really feels good in the hands, 6x9 the way it should. The cover includes the background the way it should. The interior is amazing, the exact same information. And so I am proud of that. In this video, I am going to basically walk through the process of setting up an account on Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing as well as IngramSpark's. And then some of the tips that I learned while setting up an account to be able to self-publish my book and have it available. And at this point, what I would like to say is this. I have all my files already ready to go. That includes the cover and the interior. And I also have all my ISBNs purchased. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, share it, add any comments that you think are interesting for me to know, or any questions that you have. And if you don't want to go this route, connect with me on Facebook, on Twitter, or on Instagram, and tell me how your self-publishing journey is going, and maybe we can learn from each other. The book's going to be available for sale in about a month and some change, right? Initially through Amazon. As soon as I get it in bookstores, then you'll be able to walk into one and get your hand on the book. Setting up an account on IngramSpark is pretty easy, right? You go to IngramSpark.com, and if you haven't already set up an account, you would create one. And creating an account is easy. They're basically needing very simple information, your contact name, email address, and then a password. I already have an account, so I'm going to log in. And after logging in, you will have to pay as a self-publisher to create a print and ebook version of your book for sale. Now, if you do either one, you end up paying $74, but I would recommend that you just do both. Even if you don't have a print version yet, go ahead and do it and save yourself a little bit of money. So it's $49 to set up both. The other important thing to do is you're going to have to set up some tax information or provide your tax information, because you are basically setting up a business as a self-publisher, and when they pay you, they're going to report that information to the government so that you can have your taxes paid, right? You don't want to evade taxes here. All you have to do now is add your new title. And I'm going to use a title that I've already created for my book, Who and Why You Are. All you need to remember, I have an electronic version as well as a print version of the book. And to set them up is easy. You would click on Add My Title and fill out the information. I'm going to go ahead and copy this here, and you're going to see why here shortly. But while you're setting up the book, you can set a print and ebook if you have both, or just the ebook, or just the print. So you would enter the title of your book, whatever that is, Who and Why You Are. Pretty self-explanatory. Subtitle if you have one, or you need to remember. The language, English here, a short description of the book, keywords. These are basically categories or search phrases that you would want retailers or individuals that are looking for your book to be able to search, and then your book come up. And you can enter up to 7. I think it's the industry standard. Separate each one by a semicolon and go from there. Series, edition, and then a full book description. I think you need to have at least 400 characters. And that is basically the end of the first section, which is about the book. When you're done with that, your next section is basically about the author and contributors. So you would enter your name here, Roland Chenjang. And the one thing I want to say about IngramSpark here is, if you have credentials, I have not figured out a way to include the credentials when you're entering your name. So if you put comma credential here, what happens is the system reads this as your last name, comma, first name, and then your first name disappears when it's presenting the book. And so if you want both, you're just going to have to put your last name and your first name, and then your role. You can also add your editor, your cover designer, interior. If you have contributing authors, you would add all of that and you would pick your role. Pretty easy there. The next stage is basically your book category, right? And in here, you're going to have to put in an imprint. When you initially set up your account, if you don't add your imprint, you can easily request IngramSpark by contacting customer service to add the imprint. And the imprint is important. You're going to want to use the same imprint you use when you're assigning the titles to the ISBNs that you purchase. And I'll discuss that in maybe another video, but make sure the imprint matches exactly the same one that you set up with. If not, when IngramSpark is trying to validate the data, if that information comes back and it's not the same, then you're going to have issues. Next is the subject, and this is basically categories that your book would fall into. And this helps retailers basically shelf your book to know what sections to put the book in. So if your book is a business book, for instance, you would search for business and then pick the type of description that best describes your book. So if it's business and economics, customer relations, you would pick that, and you can pick up to 3. I did not put in any information for regional and terms subjects, so I would leave that blank. Audience, my book, you would pick your audience. Target, mine is basically a trade / general for adults. Table of contents, if you want to add that here, pretty self-explanatory, as well as some review quotes, pretty self-explanatory. My book doesn't have any images or illustrations, so no, easy does it. This right here is pretty interesting part as well, is the print format of your book. And so my book is 6x9. I would recommend that you stay within standard industry print sizes, just so that you're not incurring a little bit more cost to get your book printed. Interior, black and white, crim. IngramSpark uses the 50-pound crim paper. The binding, paperback, of course, and then perfectly bound. And then the finish, matte. Page count, this is important because this will affect the cost to print each copy of your book. and mine is 232 pages, so I'm going to include that there. And after that, some more information on the print format. You're going to need to include a print ISBN. Now, I'm going to pause here and say you can get an ISBN through IngramSpark from MyBooker, but I think there's a discount to buy just one at maybe about $90. If not, one usually costs about $125, or you can get 10 for I think $295 or so dollars. And we can check that actually. So if you go to my identifiers, and so this is where you would purchase ISBNs. And so one ISBN, if you purchase, is $125, and 10 of them is $295. So as a self-publisher, I recommend that you go ahead and just purchase 10 ISBNs, because you may publish more than one book, right? And with one ISBN, you really limit yourself, especially if you have a print and electronic version of your book and you're trying to set up accounts through IngramSpark and KDP. Each one of those formats is going to need its own ISBN. So you're better off just buying 10, which is what I did, and I can show you quickly. After purchasing the 10 ISBNs, you would receive them in your account, and you would be able to assign titles and book formats or media formats to your book afterwards. And so here we go. In your ISBNs, right here I have a total of 10, 6 that I haven't used and 4 that I've used. Each one, the electronic book and for Kindle, the electronic book for IngramSpark, and the paperback for KDP, and then the paperback for IngramSpark. And so they have to have different ISBNs. If not, you will not be able to distribute them through those channels. So back to IngramSpark, you would enter your ISBN here. Since I'm just showing you for example, I'm going to go ahead and click to use a non-distributable ISBN number, SKU number here, just so that it lets me continue with setting up the book here for illustrative purposes. Set up your retail price. This is important. With IngramSpark, like I mentioned at the beginning, you can't, as a consumer, buy the book directly from IngramSpark unless you are the author. And what they do is they're a wholesale distributor who then print the book for retailers. And as a self-publisher, unless you have some really, really, really amazing negotiating powers, I found that it's best to just include the 55% trade wholesale discount. And what this does is it allows retailers who sell your book to make some money off the book. And I think that they get 40% of the sale price of the book, or they get that discount, and 40% basically goes to them. 15% I understand goes to IngramSpark, and then the other 45% comes to you. Another interesting thing that I learned with working with IngramSpark is that retailers also want to be able to have the option to return your book. And if you pick no, they're a little more hesitant to sign a contract with you or buy your book and put into your stores. But the options for returnability of your book are yes, deliver. And deliver means IngramSpark, if they receive a book, or if they receive a book that is returned from a wholesaler, IngramSpark is then going to mail the book to you. And when they do, that's going to incur some additional shipping costs that are transferred to you as the author. The other option is basically to destroy the book. There's a fee to destroy the book, but I think that that's cheaper. And so for the United States, when I was setting up my book, I picked my price, my wholesale discount, and then also that the book be returnable and to be destroyed. Now, later on, I'm going to see how that works for me and then change it, right? It's not set in stone. You would also pick the prices for the cost of your book in different markets, the UK, European Union, Canada, Australia, etc. And then for the Global Connect program, you can pick your price as well as this the wholesale discount. Now, if you are not sure what the cost is or what the exchange rates are, they have a currency converter right here as a tool for you to help make that decision. When you're done with that, you will set a publication date. So let's put July 24th just for illustrative purposes here. and then continue. You will get this alert about the publication date saying basically that the orders placed for this title will be held and released prior to this date to receive product on or before the on sale date provided. And if you're okay with that, say yes, and then you will provide an on sale date. And I was actually advised by IngramSpark customer service reps to keep them the same. Let's go back. Advised to keep them the same. To not use two different dates just because it gets apparently more confusing for the retailers. Okay. And then the ebook format. It's not going to let me go any further unless I put a legitimate ISBN here, and I don't want to do that. But you would essentially put in your ISBN for your ebook format and then set your prices. The unique thing about this here is the Apple price, which you can find here. It says if the price is less than $10, then the cents has to end in 49. And if it's over 10, it has to end in 99. I don't know why they do that, but it's Apple. And then you would pick your publication date. Hopefully it's not different from what you pick with the print, as well as the on sale date, and then the page count. And if you don't know what it is for your ebook version, you can go ahead and put your paperback version, which is 232. It's not going to let me continue here because I don't have an ISBN set up for the ebook format, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel. And when you're done setting up your book, this is what it's going to look like. And after that 7th step, you're going to go to a screen that asks you to upload your files, and this is what it looks like. And you will be able to upload the cover file for your print version as well as your ebook version. And then you're also going to be able to upload the content for your interior for the print, and then the content interior for the ebook. So whoever is doing your interior design will provide those files for you. I think for the IngramSpark's ebook, it's a EPUB file, and you'll be able to browse for that on your computer and basically upload it. And then when you're done, you click submit. The files are going to go for review by IngramSpark employees. And when that's done, you're going to get an email that tells you that your files are ready to download and view the proofs. If they find any issues, they're going to reach out and tell you to fix it. And if not, then it's going to be approved, and the status of your book is going to switch to available for printing/download. And I'll show you what an example looks like. So this is my book that is all set up, that's ready for print or download. I can order author's proofs, etc. And I can also download and view my proof. It's a PDF file. You'll get a link in the email, and you can email it to other people as well. And it shows you your pricing, and you can edit all this information, your market pricing, your book type, number of pages, etc., the publication date, on sale date, the category of your book, about the author, and then also about your book. And you can edit that there. Now with IngramSpark, I believe they had a sale that ends today, June 30th, 2019. But if you want to re-upload any of the files, either the cover or the interior, I believe there's a fee to it, and it might be $25. IngramSpark is great to work with. You can reach out to the reps and see what they can do for you. All right. So that's it. That's what it takes to set up an account. And remember that at this point, you have all your files ready to go. Okay. And then at that point, it's really, really easy to set up. So next, I'm going to go through the same process with Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing. So with Amazon's KDP, the process is really similar. There are some differences though that I think are pretty interesting, but no one is better than the other. Both companies, again, provide value to self-publishers to reach different consumers in different ways. And I'll basically walk through the process of uploading your files for Amazon's KDP. To start off, like IngramSpark, you would want to log in to your KDP account. If you have an Amazon account, you can use the same one. I believe if you're watching this, you already have. If not, you can go ahead and sign up for Amazon. Otherwise, you would just log in. And after logging in, I would be brought to my bookshelf. Now, before I go setting up, I want to tell you, again, the same thing with your account. You're going to want to set up some tax information, right? And then I did not have to set this up with IngramSpark yet, but I'm pretty sure I will. You also have to set up your bank information for how you're going to get paid, or the money is going to get transferred. Any sales that you have get transferred directly to your bank account, and then tax information just so that you pay your taxes. And Kindle or Amazon calls it like tax interviews. I think it's pretty cool. I haven't seen any other company call it a tax interview, but when you complete that information, you're basically putting in your social security number, or if you set up a shell company or like a publishing company, a legit LLC, you'll put in your tax ID number to go that route. Beyond that, now when you're ready to add your book, again, Amazon makes this really, really simple. And to do that, I'm actually going to go into a book that I already have set up and show you what that process is like. There are basically 3 tabs. They've simplified this so much. Literally, it could take you 5 minutes if you have all your files and you're done. Paperback details. Since I'm doing a paperback here, the language of the book, book title, series. Mine's not a series, so I leave that blank. Edition number is the first one, so I'm going to leave that blank. Author, and the difference here is I can put in my credentials with the last name, and then it actually accepts it. Contributors, you can put in the same people who help with your book, your editor, cover designer, interior cover designer. Really awesome. Description, again, you want to enter the description of your book. All of these you want to prepare before you come here, and then the process is basically seamless. Enter the description of your book and you're done. Pick your publishing rights, which if you're a self-publisher, then you own them all. Keywords, same thing here. Keywords that people who are searching for, you're hoping are going to get your book as results so that they can look at, browse, and then maybe purchase. And then categories. There's so much information out there about how you can manipulate these so that your books show up in certain categories and end up being number 1. Look at that and pick whichever one you think would work for you, and then whether or not your book has adult content. And then with that, you're basically done setting up the details that are going to show up to consumers when they come and search for your book on Amazon. The next is actually the most important part, which is the information about your book that the consumers are going to be reading. First, you want to enter your ISBN. Now, I spoke about this with IngramSpark. I recommend that as a self-publisher, you go out and get your own individual ISBNs. KDP can assign an ISBN to you, but then that limits you to only selling that book through Amazon, right? So I went ahead and purchased a bunch of ISBNs from Booker, and I assigned one. That's the one I'm using here. My imprint name, this is important as well. Make sure it matches the exact same one that you assigned in my Booker. Publication date, I haven't published it before, so I'm going to leave that blank. Print options, super easy here. Black and white with cream paper. Trim size, standard. Bleed or no bleed, this is if you have images in your book, so no bleed for me, and then you're finished. Then you upload your manuscript and your book cover. When you're done, it'll accept. If there are any issues that the system identifies, it tells you right there. And then beyond that, you can launch your previewer, which sometimes takes a while, but I've previewed my book a few times, so hopefully that doesn't take a while here. Good. And then you have a preview of what your book is going to look like printed. The system does a quality check as well, and if there are any issues that it identifies, it'll show you here. So for instance, if your cover is too small and it doesn't fit, it's gonna show you here. There's gonna be an alert to say, hey, the size of your cover, depending on the number of pages that you're printing, isn't okay. And what that's gonna do is gonna mess up your stem when the book is being bound, printed, and trimmed. And you can, through KDP, actually create your own cover. Now, I did not do that. I worked with a professional so that my book looks super, super legit. And we created the files, just basically uploaded them. That was a lot easier. Same for the interior, right? I worked with someone to design the interior. If you can do this by yourself, by all means, do it. If not, outsource it to a professional and they'll do it for you and make it look nice. There is information in the help section on how to set up your margins depending on your book size, and so that when it prints, it looks beautiful on the inside. You can do a thumbnail preview, and that's what your entire book is going to look like printed. And when you're done, you approve it, and that's basically it. Now at this point, you would receive an estimate of what it costs to print each individual book, and this changes depending on your page count. So the more pages you have, the more it will cost to print your book, right? And right here, you can see the summary of your book settings: no bleed matte finish, black and white interior on cream paper. Amazon uses 90 GSM, grams per square meter print paper, and IngramSpark uses a 50-pound print paper. I tried to look for the differences in both to compare, but it's so confusing to figure out what all that means and how to compare or convert from pounds to grams per square meter. So if you know and understand that better than I do, by all means, share that information with me, because I just got lost in the weeds and I said, I'm done with it. Anyway, the important thing I want to share here is what I did that I hope you can learn from and then not do, so that when you order your proofs, you don't get two glossy finishes instead of one glossy and one matte finish. So they make it really easy to switch between glossy and matte. So right now, this proof says it's a matte finish. And so when I did this and I saved and continue, in the next screen, you can order your proofs. And what I did was I had it as the matte finish. I went to the next screen and I ordered my proof. And when you click to order your proof or request a proof of your book, you have to wait for KDP to send you an email. And when they send you an email, then you confirm that you actually did order a proof, and then go ahead and complete the checking out process. And it takes about an hour or so for them to send you that confirmation email. And so I had it set as the matte finish, and then I asked for a proof. I got the email and completed the checkout process. And when I finished that, in my mind, I'm thinking the order says matte finish, this proof, etc. Get it ready for them. And right after that, I went back and then I changed the finish to a glossy. And then I saved everything and then ordered a new proof. And now in the summary, it'll say, oh, it's a glossy finish. And so I thought that's what I was ordering. And I said, send me another proof now, the glossy finish. And that was literally within 2 hours of ordering each one. And I sent that. But when Amazon now was fulfilling the order, in the print options, or the way my book was set up, it was set up as a glossy. And so both proofs came as glossy. And that's what I did. And now it's advisable that you wait about 48 hours between each proof order, so that the system, or not that the system, basically that the KDP, the staff, has enough time to print your book. So if you order a matte finish, just have them print it out, and then when it ships, go ahead and switch and order the glossy and have them print them out. About 48 hours between. And then you will save yourself some headache. But like I said, Amazon is an amazing company. They worked with me and we fixed the problem. And we're going to go with the matte finish, which they have it right here, and it looks amazing. Beyond that, the last part is your paperback rights and pricing, right? And I have all the rights, so territory worldwide. Royalty pricing, you can set your price up here with whatever, and you calculate what your royalty is for each book. There's expanded distribution, which is similar to what IngramSpark does, and this allows retailers and bookstores and libraries to basically purchase your book. And when that happens, of course, your royalties are reduced. And that makes sense because you have more middlemen getting your book, but it is a wider distribution. And then it basically calculates the equivalent for the other markets, right? In Europe, you got UK, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Japan, etc. And you can change those prices if you want, okay? And then when you're done and you're ready, you would hit the publish your paperback book. I'm not going to do that because if I do that, then the book's already ready for you to purchase. And I need to do a little bit more work to get that super ready, okay? And at this point, I'm going to save as draft, and then I'm done. And while you're setting up your either the paperback or the Kindle version, you can actually set both at the same time, or when you're done setting one, you can hit this create the Kindle version for the paperback, or create the paperback for the Kindle version. And so that's what I did. And it basically brings in the same metadata information that your book is going to be. That's going to be similar in both books. So basically the book details, the language, the book title, the author, etc., and description. Publishing rights, keywords, all of that is the same. The categories. This one has the age range. And then you can also set a pre-order date for the Kindle version, which is unique in that you cannot set up a pre-order date for the print version. All right. And then in the next tab, the ebook content, you're basically going to put in your ISBN and then also the content of the interior and the cover. You can launch a previewer and make sure to put in the right imprint, which is optional, but go ahead and put it. Since it's electronic, you don't need to, but go ahead. And then the digital rights management, this basically allows other consumers to buy your book and share it to friends and family. So I would enable that if I were you. And then the last thing is the Kindle ebook pricing, where Amazon has some very interesting setup options that you can do. You can do Kindle Select, which I did not do, but I have all territories. And then I did the higher royalty, 70%, but then there's a maximum price you can set on your electronic version, which is $9.99. And so that's what I did there. And there are other options like the matchbook, which I didn't enroll, or book lending, which I allowed, and then pre-order terms, which you can read. And then you're done. And you can submit your book for pre-order, but I'm going to save as a draft at this point. Now, that was a lot of information I put out on what it takes to set up your books to be ready to be purchased or ordered either through KDP or IngramSpark. Both companies provide amazing value for self-publishers to be able to get your books distributed to the masses. They have advantages and disadvantages, and you can basically decide which one's better for you. I would recommend that if you're a self-publisher, you set up accounts in both. With KDP, once your book is set up, you can sell it directly to consumers. You can also order and sell it yourself individually. It's cheaper, right? And that's really, really nice for a self-publisher. Now, the advantage with IngramSpark is that they have up to 39,000 retailers that can basically purchase your book, and they're both set up as print on demand. That is both KDP and IngramSpark, so there's less cost there for you. The trick or the thing you need to understand with IngramSpark is, yes, they have access to those retailers, but you have to go to those retailers and then basically set up an agreement with them to actually purchase and sell your book in store. And then when they're ready to do that, they can now go to either IngramSpark or even Amazon's expanded distribution and get those books into your stores. With that, I hope you found some value watching this video. Self-publishing is definitely an amazing thing that you can do for yourself. It's empowering and it's something that I encourage. It allows you to express your creativity, which is what consciousness really wants. And you can learn about that and so much more in my brand new book, Who and Why You Are, coming out in August. Okay? Subscribe, share, like this video, and then connect with me on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram as well. And let's talk about what your experience is like, right? How is self-publishing working for you, and how is it working for me? And let's share ideas, and then so that we can both be successful. Thank you.